Good evening and welcome to the Leadership Boost with your host Sean Smith. Great to be with you again wherever you are tuning in from, anywhere and everywhere in the world. So you are fulfilling a role right now that may or may not actually have a title to it or even be a position, and yet you are a leader simply because you are inspiring, influencing, and impacting somebody's life every day. That's why you live, that's why you're alive. And the best way to do that effectively is to, in fact, discover your purpose, to discover who you are, why you are, what is the reason that you're here, what makes you tick, what motivates you, what inspires you, what influences you, what has impacted you in your life and in your journey. In fact, it's important for you to discover that reason for being, because that's when you are the most effective, the most communicative, the most impactful, the most influential. It's an exciting life, and we have this opportunity to do it. For me, it was like preparation for years and years, and discovering podcasting, discovering live broadcasts on Facebook. I can get a message out, I can get my passion out, I can begin to share with you. I can find those people that need to hear this, that want to hear this, so that they can make the changes, hear the tips and the principles that I've learned over the years that'll help you to be more effective in what you do. So tonight we're talking about creating the trust environment. Everyone, every leader, everyone knows that trust is important. And last night we started talking about the two best ways to build trust, but I wanted to include something here as just the next step to that message. And that is, we've got to realize trust is essential. We know trust is essential for there to be quality relationships. We know that. Trust is essential, and yet very few people actually trust. Leaders don't trust the people around them. They've told me that. So we have to have trust. We have to build in trust, whether it's with our team, with our staff, employees, with our clients. We've got to build a trust relationship with them, with our suppliers, our distributors, however you pronounce that. Whoever it is that you're working with, you need relationships with them, and those relationships are built on trust. So as a leader, you have to learn trust and you have to build trust. Typically, I'm just a trusting person. I sort of trust, and then when you actually betray that trust, that's when I begin to back off. But I'm a very trusting person. I decided to trust. I never used to, but I decided I'm going to trust the best in people. That they're not just focused on self and selfish interests, but that they do have a bigger purpose to their life. I trust that. And that they want to contribute as well. So you have to learn trust, you have to build trust, and you have to create a trust environment. You cannot just build trust. You have to have the right environment to trust. Somebody said this: trust is a collective mind, a culture. You cannot build and nourish trust without creating a conducive environment of trust. Say that again. It's a culture. You cannot build and nourish trust without creating the right environment for trust, or a conducive environment of trust. So the whole culture has got to be the right environment, the right atmosphere for trust to actually grow, develop, and nourish. Flourish is a better word. You nourish it, it gets flourished. So trust creates an environment which there will be authenticity, passion, commitment. People will be all in when you have the right environment. When you've created a trust environment, people are all in. Because people can actually be more authentic, they can be more passionate, and they can be committed without feeling like they are threatened. Now they have to build silos, withhold information, be information gatherers, not information givers, constantly looking for somebody to acknowledge them, recognize them, prop them up, rather than them imparting to others. They're looking for power rather than empowering others. Paul Zak, in his Harvard Business Review article, said this: the neuroscience of trust found that those working in a high trust environment enjoyed their jobs 60% more, were 70% more aligned with the company or the organization's purpose, and felt 66% closer or more connected, more engaged with their colleagues. Wow, I mean, that is some serious statistics, some serious data right there. So you need to build trust. We know we need to build trust, but you cannot build trust when there is toxicity in other areas of the organization, of the company, of the enterprise, or of your life. You cannot build trust if you're not committed to working on the other problem areas as well. So you can say, trust me, but when they see duplicity in other areas, when they see there are weaknesses and failure and breakdown in other areas, they're not prepared to trust you. Because why would I trust you if? You cannot ignore some of these things if you're looking at building trust. These things contribute to building a trust environment. You cannot ignore being competent. You've got to build your skill level. You've got to build your competency, not only in your area of expertise, but also as a leader. You've got to build your expertise, your ability to communicate, your ability to engage, your ability to think strategically. You've got to build those skills. While I'm sharing way ahead of myself, but you cannot ignore having a shared purpose. You cannot ignore having that strategic purpose built in that everybody feels part of, everybody contributes to, everybody owns as their own because they are part of it. You cannot ignore having a strategic plan. You've got to have a plan. You cannot ignore having alignment to the strategic purpose. You cannot ignore having the right mindset. You can talk trust, you can talk about caring and being considerate and all this nice fancy stuff, but if you haven't got the right mindset, you're not going to be building the right culture, because culture comes straight out of first your own thinking processes, because your thinking processes affects your style. You cannot ignore having the right behavior or the right actions. Your actions and your behavior have got to align with what you say is your purpose. You cannot be doing one thing and another. So those are some of the areas that you have to be building, working on, because all those things begin to build this thing called an environment or a culture where trust can grow. And trust, as we've seen, works so much better. Teams function in trust. They become winning teams when they trust each other. That's why, in the military, when I was doing basics, my basic training, they strip off everything of your personal life. No, you can't wear your personal clothes. You have to wear, an overall with boots, army boots and a cap. That was all we were allowed when we did basics. And we had to do everything together. If you did something and the others were left behind, or one person was left behind, you do it again. because we had to build trust, and we had to learn to trust each other through obstacle courses, through long obstacle runs, running with big, huge truck tires on our shoulders and whatever we had to do. But we had to do it together to build trust. We had to learn to trust each other. But the environment had to be one of trust as well. If you're not working on these, then you're trying to build trust into your relationships, into your culture, into your company, and into your team. Then trying to build that trust just will not fly. It will not fly. You've got to create that environment. So focus on those things. Let me share them again. Is being competent, having a shared purpose, having a strategic plan, having alignment, having the right mindset, and having the right action. Those are the things that bring a totality to the environment of building a culture in which trust can begin to grow. You've got to work on those areas and be working on those areas as well for people to say, I can and prepared to trust you. Trust is not something that just drops out of the hat. In fact, I was looking at a quote earlier on, and it says, I can't find it now, but let's see if I can find it. Can't find it. But it talks about that trust obviously is earned. Trust is earned. Loyalty comes back to you, but trust is earned. You cannot command it, you cannot demand it. And you cannot demand it from others if you're not prepared to trust them first. So you've got to be building that whole relationship on trust to be effective. To be effective and to be high impact. You're the high impact leader. This world needs you. Go out there and begin to build trust. All right. Until next time, this is Sean saying over and out.